Okay, girls. So now we just finished with the farm one on how to do the farm one on one of the sides. Well, you can choose which one you want to do. If you want to do the carving or if you want to do the farm one with all the cows, pigs, and sheep. So what we normally do when we get pumpkins in my family, and it's a tradition we've had since I was little, is we actually carve ours. Now, when I was little, we didn't buy these pumpkin things to do all these designs and stuff. Normally what we just did is we kind of just did triangles, triangle nose or upside down triangle, and then whatever mouth. And that's what we did. And we put a light in it and we stuck it out front of our porch. And that's how trick-or-treaters knew to come to our house, because we had pumpkins out. And we had with the lights on. So we've been doing it for years now, and when I had my daughter, I decided I actually wanted to do more of the carving stuff, so I actually started buying more of the templates. So you can see that, like with these books, you can go and tear them out of the page, and then you just follow the pattern, put it on there, your pumpkin, just follow the pattern using the tools to mark your design, and then you start working away at it. I know that's backwards, and it says the 31st. So, and I'm pretty sure you guys seen these all over the stores and everything, and then explains how to do it and all that. Now, let's talk about some of the tools that I use. So you can see that these booklets, the sketching booklets or template booklet, the pumpkin carving kit comes with a bunch of tools that you can use. It comes with like the scrapers. It comes with the little ones you can use to start carving. It comes with the this little pointer that has the tip at the end. If you can see, put it that way. So it's like that with the little point at the end. So this is actually a really good tool that I like using, because when I grab my design and I cut it out, what I do is I take this and I punch holes all the way through on the line, and then it'll tell me where I need to cut. Okay, so that's the benefit of that. In the booklet, where it's the dark gray is where you need to cut out the design. So all of this part right here that's like a whitish, maybe tannish color, you're gonna leave pumpkin. This part right here is where it's gonna have holes, and you're gonna see the light come through. So it'll look like something like that when you're done. Okay. So those are all the tools. This one I actually bought separate because I saw this and I actually like this a lot better, besides using one of the big spoon that I have, because it's got the sharp edges on the end. They're not super sharp, they're plastic, but they're sharp enough to take the pumpkin stuff out, the seeds and the stems and everything in there. And then it has the end as well. So this is like my favorite tool to clean. I use a regular small spoon because when you carve your shapes out, you can see sometimes that there's strings that are hanging, and sometimes that there's still seeds and stuff, so you might want to take a small spoon to get those out. But remember, when you're cleaning out your pumpkin, you don't want to clean away too much of it, because then if you carve all the way down to the actual thin layer of the pumpkin, you might poke a hole, and that ruins the whole effect of seeing the lights come through. And of course, you need to have a knife to cut off the top. Okay. When you are carving pumpkins, if you are younger, so if you're like daisies, brownies, and juniors, even with older girls, I still definitely recommend having a parent with you, because cutting the top can be kind of tricky, because sometimes your knife can get stuck when you're trying to do a curve. So, and on the top of them, they don't have to be perfect. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a perfect circle. You can see that I've got different triangles, so whatever makes sense to cut it out. So I've already actually cut my pumpkin out, the top part, and I've actually already cleaned it. So you can see the pumpkin seeds and the gooiness over there, the pumpkin guts. So, and one more thing is that with your lid to the pumpkin and the top of the pumpkin, don't cut any more of it off, because if you do, your top's not going to fit and it's going to fall through, and it's not going to be able to illuminate the light that you have, the little tea light that's going to come through. Now when you're picking a side of the pumpkin to use as your face, you want to turn your pumpkin all the way around to see where is a round kind of flat surface where you can use, depending on the design that you have. So this witch one right here, I actually used that one last year, so I needed something that was more round, so this design for this pumpkin would have probably been perfect, but I've already used that one. And then in the booklet, it also gives you ideas on extra templates and stuff like that. So then it actually talks about more of the it talks more about the tools, the carving tools that you can use. And then when you get the templates at the top of the booklet, it says like the mastery level, like how well you can be. There are actually professional carvers, pumpkin carvers, who really don't rely on templates at all, and they just use their tools and their imagination and create these beautiful displays of faces and whatever else that they can think of. And I'll actually show you some pictures of that later, what the professionals have done. And I will show you some of them. If I have pictures from previous years of what I've done, I'll show you that as well. Okay. So those are all your tools. I keep mine in a baggie. I always wash all my tools afterwards, let them dry, and then I put them back in the bag and I put them in my storage with all of my Halloween stuff. So for this purpose, I am not going to go with a kind of scary one. I'm going to go with a simple, cute one. It's a little those designs. So instead of your normal triangle eyes and upside down triangle nose, it's going to be a moon, a star, a small star, and some gravestones as a smile. So then it will hopefully turn out to be like this. And I know you can't really see, but hopefully when I start carving it on the pumpkin, you'll be able to take notice. So this is the part that actually takes pretty much the longest. And if you don't have patience for it, it's not something you want to do. If you just want to do cutting triangles out, go for it. Or if you just want to stick with the cow and farm animal decorating, go for it. When we normally put our pumpkins together the night before Halloween, because we live in where I used to live, and even now we still practice that, because it's too hot and the pumpkins start to get really nasty. I know that there is a way that you can put some sort of like solution or some sort of something on it. You can Google that and look to see what other things that they have to keep the pumpkins to stay into this form. But like I said, I normally don't do that. I normally buy my pumpkins in the maybe beginning of October, middle of October, and we just keep them full until, like I said, the night before Halloween, and then we all sit down together and carve out pumpkins. I actually have a lot of patience, and so it takes me a couple hours to get the design down and actually get it the way I want it looking, and it really does come out pretty awesome. So now I'm going to go ahead and take some scissors. I'm going to cut my design. Sorry, I forgot to grab some scissors. So I'm going to take some scissors, cut out my design. I don't need this bottom piece. I can just refer to it later or as my step. And then, so what I'm going to do is, and this is going to be the tricky part, because you can see that you have all these bubbles, you know, right here that are coming up, but you're going to do your best. And what I do to help keep the design on is I actually use some tape. Tape. So I'm going to put some tape on, and it's very important that you keep it as still and straight as possible, so that way it kind of lines up. Okay. And you see that, like, when I get towards the bottom, I'm definitely gonna have to tilt my pumpkin up so I can get these gravestones. But for this right now, let's see. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 pieces of tape on the side right here, next to the moon and star. And you don't have to keep your pumpkin guts on the table, you can throw them away. Or what myself and I know my coworker Miss Karina loves to do is we like to take the pumpkin seeds, rinse them off, rinse them off, put them on a baking sheet and put them in the oven and bake them. And you can put a little bit of salt on it, and they're really good to eat. That's what I used to do when I was a kid a lot. My daughter doesn't really like them that much, so we don't do it. So I got my design on. Like I said, when I get closer to the nose, I'll push it down more and I'll take that more. But for right now, that's good, and we're gonna go ahead and get started. So the tool that I'm gonna use, remember, I'm gonna take this pointy end right here. And if you don't have these tools, that's okay. You can always use, if you have a pencil at home that's sharpened, and you don't mind it getting with the pumpkin stuff all over it, you can take a pencil and kind of poke through. You're not gonna poke all the way through. You're just poking enough to make a design so you can see where the line is at. So, this is what I'm gonna do, start poking, and this begins the process. And this can take a while, depending on what kind of template you want to do. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to get this all prepped, and then you will all see what it looks like. And if this part right here, this gray part kind of tears, that's okay. Remember I said that's the part that you're gonna cut out so that the light can come through. All right, so you will see the finished template project right after. Okay, girls, so I finished cutting, or not cutting, but I finished pushing through the template. So I don't know if you can really see. There you can see the moon, the little star nose, the star eye, and then you can see the tombstone mouth. So that's what it's gonna look like when you do the pointing with the template and just doing it that way. This, I really do recommend you do this together as a family, because it's really fun to sit and decorate pumpkins with your family and just hang out. Good family memories. Like I said, I did it when I was little with my mom and my brothers, and then when my daughter was born, we did it with her grandparents, and a couple of times we've done it with some friends and stuff. So yeah, it's really fun to do. So now what we're gonna do is, remember what I was saying, this piece right here, like the inside of the shapes, that's the piece that you need to start carving away. So you're gonna take your tools. If you don't have the tools, you can use a small knife, but I suggest that you be really, really careful. If you are using a knife, make sure your parent is there. This is an activity that your parents must be there. Like I said, even if you are an older kid, if you are an older girl, please have your parents there just in case something happens, because you never know, with pumpkins you might slip and the knife gets stuck and try to take it out and you can end up cutting your finger. So this is an activity that is definitely adult supervision needed. And even with these little tools, please don't assume that just because these tools aren't as sharp as a knife, doesn't mean that it's not going to hurt you or not cut you, because it can. If you dig deep enough and you pull it out hard enough and it goes against your skin, you can seriously get cut with these too. So you really need to be careful. Pumpkin,